Hello, and welcome to River Network's self-paced organizational growth learning series focused on key topics for organizations growing their internal capacity. This series is best suited for groups who have already invested in their basic organizational structures, such as their mission statement, roles, leadership, and work plans. You can learn more about those topics by accessing our Organizational Health self-paced learning series. This episode in the Organizational Growth series is covering leadership policies and planning with special attention to succession planning. For those who aren't familiar with River Network, we work to grow and strengthen a national network of water, justice, and river advocates. We convene and build our network with training, resources, peer groups, technical support, funding, and in-person gatherings like our national conference, River Rally. River Network envisions a powerful and inclusive movement that ensures abundant clean water for all people and nature to thrive. Our work includes three focus areas: climate resilient communities, healthy and resilient rivers, and clean, safe, affordable drinking water. We work to build strong organizations and leaders across all of these focus areas, which is what brings us here today to talk about the key characteristics of a growing organization. At River Network, we know that we do our best work in partnership with others. This video training series is a collaboration with the Hudson River Watershed Alliance, an organization in New York State that is uniting and empowering communities to protect their shared waters. Funding for this series comes in part from the New York State Environmental Protection Fund through the Hudson River Estuary Program of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Working through the organizational growth checklist, we're now on the third topic: leadership policies and planning. As we move through these topics, think about how they relate to one another. As a prompt for today's episode, pause and consider how proper planning for leadership transitions can support managing different types of organizational risk, which was our topic from episode 2. As an overview of today's episode, we'll be diving into a number of topics that help ease the burden of a leadership transition. First, we'll cover how document management supports the transfer of knowledge, as well as how enabling others to practice leadership skills before they need them smooths a transition. Second, we'll cover ways to manage leadership and potential transitions through systems like an organization's bylaws or a group's written policies. Lastly, we'll offer some considerations about how to make your work plans and budgets inclusive of leadership transitions. They're bound to happen, so you might as well plan for them. According to Board Source's 2021 Leading with Intent report, only 29% of nonprofit organizations surveyed reported that they have a written succession plan in place. Yet, other data suggests that anywhere from 40 to 50% of organizational leaders are planning to leave in the next 5 years. The failure to plan may well result in challenging transitions and, in some cases, disasters or failures for organizations. While we do not always know when a leadership transition may occur, we recommend that all groups and organizations are prepared for such a scenario. One of the biggest hurdles of leadership transitions is downloading everything from the existing leader's brain or losing the institutional knowledge of someone who has been around for years. We often see this in groups where the original founder is still highly engaged, but really it happens to all groups and organizations. Consider having a system in place to track information that may be lost with a person, whether they leave voluntarily or by other means. Basic information that should be easily accessible and available to others representing a group's leadership team include key program or funding contacts, as well as their contact information, ideally with notes about the relationship's purpose and function. A CRM system can help with this, like we talked about in episode 1 on communications, but a basic spreadsheet works really well too. Secondly, passwords and other access information to all online accounts, including social media, website, newsletters, grant portals, banking, and others. A calendar with standing meetings, recurring events, and other important dates, such as your annual meeting, your large volunteer events, grant renewals, or others. Subscriptions, vendors, contractors, and other service and sourcing information. access to systems for financial and legal purposes like banking, bookkeeping, and insurance. And lastly, files about projects, programs, or reports for institutional knowledge about your watershed, your partners, and opportunities. Good document management systems will ideally have regular record keeping on all of these items, even when a leadership transition isn't on the table. Consider having a biannual or quarterly record check to update documents and storage access, so it doesn't catch you by surprise if someone leaves the group or organization. When possible, leadership transitions should build in time for passing the baton by allowing others to learn and practice systems, such as attending funder or partner meetings, including developing those agendas and taking notes, reviewing and drafting grant applications and reports, or drafting other fundraising collateral if you don't have grants, procuring materials or services from vendors, partners, and others, shadowing administrative tasks like banking, bookkeeping, and other financial controls, running an event or a meeting with backup support if needed, and coordinating others on the team, including communicating with them and overseeing some tasks. Allowing staff, volunteers, board members, or others to shadow and practice these skills, systems, and tasks before they really need to know them creates space to develop some confidence, ask questions, and clarify how and why things work the way they do. This not only supports a group or organization going through transition, but can support leadership in the group in general when they need time off, expectedly or unexpectedly. Having redundancy in skills and who can manage internal systems addresses a number of capacity-related risks that small groups often face. Part of establishing an incorporated nonprofit organization is creating bylaws that guide the leadership, and more specifically, the board of directors of an organization. In addition to establishing whether or not the nonprofit is a member-based organization, how often the board meets, and policies for board voting, bylaws should include items that guide succession planning for all leadership positions. These items include things like term limits and the cadence for board member turnover. Some boards stagger terms so they always maintain a population of seasoned board members. Onboarding, offboarding, and orientation strategies for new and existing members, which could include a board buddy system that encourages or even mandates coaching, mentoring, and sharing of knowledge between new and seasoned board members. Identifying and recruiting new board members, as well as the steps for inviting or accepting those new board members. Think about named committees or working groups that are responsible for certain aspects of the organization's administration, such as finance, executive work, fund development, communications, or others. And finally, including the process to dismiss individual board members or the executive director, including necessary documentation and who is involved in that process. Having well-written bylaws that address these items goes a long way in easing expected or unexpected transitions. More importantly, having a board that is practiced in actually monitoring and executing these procedures is even better. Whether or not your group is an incorporated nonprofit organization does not dictate if you can have succession planning procedures. For those groups who aren't interested in incorporating and adopting formal bylaws, you might still consider using the following policies and systems to ensure easier transitions. Think about a welcome process outlining how you onboard new group members and who participates in doing so. Consider a dismissal policy that describes when a group member would be asked to leave, which might be easily created by evaluating what kinds of risk different behaviors or actions could invite to your group. Think through a resignation process or checklist, which could help group members depart intentionally without taking knowledge or assets with them by accident. Work on a document management policy that names how often files and access to those files are reviewed and updated. And finally, an exit interview or survey process to collect institutional knowledge, information regarding ongoing projects, and perspectives on internal culture that might help improve systems, relationships, or policies in the future. Asking group members to sign a document acknowledging that they've reviewed and understand these policies and procedures is a great way to ensure everyone is on the same page. It's considered organizationally healthy for leadership positions to turn over every 5 to 8 years. With this in mind, you might work transition steps into your work planning. One way to do this is to incorporate professional development goals for other staff, leaders, or volunteers. More simply put, you can prioritize skill building and learning opportunities regularly as a way to ease future transitions whenever they may come. Consider budgeting funds for a group training or setting aside time or funds for individuals to take online or in-person trainings. Online learning platforms like Coursera, edX, and Udemy offer membership-style subscriptions that multiple people in your group can share and take advantage of. Professional development of this kind not only helps with transition planning, but it's a great way to make team members feel valued and retain people in your group or organization. If funding is restrictive, consider asking your group's CPA or treasurer to lead a financial health training for the group, or add designing and hosting an internal storytelling workshop to your group's communications committee work plan. There may be partners in your community that would offer an hour-long training on grant writing or volunteer management for your board, staff, or program leaders. There are a plethora of online trainings and resources available through River Network, but also through some of our trusted partners like BoardSource, TREC, National Council for Nonprofits, and Institute for Conservation Leadership. Get creative with how you approach this strategy. There is an abundance of knowledge and expertise in every community. In the next episode, we'll discuss organizational evaluation methods and how these can best be opportunities to pinpoint what types of training or skill building might best serve your team. Outside of professional development, an organization can work expected transitions into work planning by being mindful of taking on new work, committing to new projects, or bringing in new members. All of these activities take significant capacity. Consider delaying the start of new programs or projects if possible. Talk to your funder if that's applicable and ask for a grant extension, explaining that you're experiencing turnover and need time to onboard a new person. If a funder isn't involved, it's your own responsibility to shift timelines and resources around your actual people capacity. Saying no to opportunities that no longer match your group's skills is something to consider. During transitions, it's common for groups and organizations to lose some degree of internal expertise. If no one feels confident taking on a project except for the person leaving or the person who left, it's okay to say no thank you or not right now. Good communication can preserve the opportunity for later and maintain the relationship with whoever is offering it to you. If a leadership departure is planned, shift some of your people capacity to focus on internal systems rather than external goals. Your work plan might have less tree plantings, cleanups, or community outreach events in lieu of prioritizing internal training, document management tasks, and transitioning accounts and relationships. It's a good idea to include these items in your work plan because they take time, capacity, and other resources to achieve. They are just as important as your programs and projects in terms of your group's sustainability. And lastly, individual work plans can go a long way during a leadership transition. If you're already using an organizational or group work plan, use it to build out individual work plans for those taking on tasks during and after a leadership transition. This ensures a few things. Nothing slips through the cracks. Folks have direction in how to best support the group, and there is some shared accountability in distributing the work and tasks amongst multiple individuals. All of these work planning tactics are supported or grounded in good communication, internally and externally. If you need support on work planning in general, find River Network's Organizational Health Self-Paced Learning series and dive into episode 4, which covers the basics of budgeting and work planning. To recap this episode, we talked about the importance of transferring skills, knowledge, and information to ease leadership transitions, utilizing bylaws or other processes, policies, and procedures to outline how transitions happen and who is involved in them, and incorporating leadership or other people capacity changes in your budgeting and work planning process. We made sure to include guidance that can be used for both incorporated nonprofit organizations as well as other groups. We recommend checking out the webinar linked in the Organizational Growth Checklist featuring consultant Karen Strong that covers many ways to maintain continuity over time, even in the face of transitions. The next episode in the self-paced learning series will cover evaluation systems, both internal and external measures of success. Good evaluation systems help us understand progress made toward our mission, as well as assessing internal confidence in the group or organization. These tools can be especially helpful when new leadership is in place, as a way to check in on the stability of a transition. Reference the Organizational Growth Checklist prior to watching episode 4 for a simple introduction to the specific topics covered. Thank you for watching the third episode in the Organizational Growth Self-Paced Learning series. To learn more and access additional free resources, visit rivernetwork.org.